Yeah, maybe we can start now slowly while people are still joining in. So a very good morning, good afternoon to you all. Warmest greetings from Bangkok, Thailand, where I am. So my name is Satrio Adi Wicaksono, and today I serve as the moderator of this event, which is an introduction to the IUCN Urban Nature Indexes, or UNI, as we call it, and web portal. So here at IUCN Aero Asia Regional Office, I am coordinating forest-related work, which does include an urban forestry component. So welcome to everyone. Welcome to the launch webinar of the IUCN UNI Urban Nature Indexes. And before I share the floor to my colleague Loredana, who will explain the agenda, let me start with some housekeeping items. So first, this webinar will be recorded. So we ask your consent, and the recording will be shared with all registered participants in the coming days. Next, all participants are asked to stay muted during the whole webinar. And also there is a live interpretation from English to Mandarin. So you can see there's the interpretation function. And if you want to listen to the webinar in Mandarin, in Chinese, you can use that function. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A function on Zoom. You may type your questions there in the Q&A box at any time during the webinar. So the questions will be responded to during the Q&A portion of the webinar, which will be around the last 20 minutes. So yeah, I guess, again, I would like to welcome all of you to this event, which will last for the next hour and a half. And this is part of a series of webinars aimed at launching the new IUCN Urban Nature Indexes, UNI, which can help cities, municipalities all over the world to monitor cities' ecological performance, set science-based targets, and also to monitor trends, over time. So you'll hear more about UNI, how it's developed by this IUCN Urban Alliance, for example. And today's webinar is targeted towards stakeholders in Asia and Oceania. So we have here participants from different parts of Asia and the Pacific. Actually, if you don't mind, maybe you can use the chat function. Can participants here type the name of the cities where they're joining the webinar from, just so that we can get a better understanding of who are here and where they're from. Just wanted to see. Yeah, you can type really quick. And maybe while you are typing, the cities where you're from, I would like to invite my colleague Loredana just to explain briefly the agenda of our webinar today.
Thank you, Satya. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Let me briefly introduce you the agenda of today. First of all, we will start with some opening remarks from our senior management at IUCN. Then we will dive into the IUCN Urban Alliance and our work in urban. And we will have a small focus on the role of subnational governments, therefore cities and municipalities within IUCN. We will then dive into the IUCN Urban Nature Indexes, or UNI. We will explain the design phase, the theoretical frameworks behind it, also what makes the UNI different compared with other frameworks and other indexes out there, and also what the cities can benefit from if applying the urban nature indexes. Then we will explain and present the Urban Nature Indexes web platform, starting from setting up an account to performing the capacity assessment, select indicator topics, and then uploading data and reporting on the indexes. And then in the end, we will have a small presentation of experiences from other cities that have been applying the UNI. And we will then close today's session with a small Q&A section. So again, I will invite you to type your questions in the Q&A box, and then we will make sure to respond to as many as we can during the Q&A session. Thank you.
Great, thanks a lot, Loredana. And as I can see from Asia, we have a lot of people from Thailand and China. But I'm also surprised to see there are people from Africa and Europe. So welcome again to you all. And let's start with the opening remarks, which will be given by Tim Batman, Head of Heritage and Culture Team of IUCN. So over to you, Tim.
Okay, Satrio, Adi, thanks so much. Thanks for this opportunity to open this workshop, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening or good night, wherever you are in the world. So I head the Heritage and Culture team in IUCN. Let me firstly explain very briefly about IUCN. So we celebrate our 75th birthday this year. We are the world's largest and most diverse environmental network. Firstly, we're a unique membership organization that brings together governments, also government agencies, civil society organizations, also indigenous peoples organizations, and since 2021, local governments, municipalities, and regional governments can also be members of IUCN. So firstly, as IUCN, we have about 1,400 members worldwide in most countries of the world. Also, as IUCN, we have a unique network of what we call our scientific commissions. There are now 7 of these commissions, a new one focused on the climate crisis launched in 2021. And they bring together over 15,000 experts to bring specialist knowledge on a range of different issues, from ecosystem management to environmental law to species conservation. And then lastly, those of us that work in the IUCN Secretariat are part of a group of nearly 1,000 staff. Globally, we're located in offices in more than 50 countries, and it's our job to coordinate the work of the Union, and as a whole, the Union works to deliver our mandate to benefit our members, and also our partners, but the world as a whole, with research, with projects, with knowledge, and with capacity and convening opportunities to really advance sustainable development and the conservation of nature worldwide. Our biggest, most regular event is the IUCN World Conservation Congress, which will happen next in 2025 to really set the next part of our agenda for the future of the planet. Our work is aimed to deliver action on the ground, but also to deliver strong policy impacts at local, national, and international levels, and to support the way that the Sustainable Development Goals and other global goals are developed, most importantly at the moment focusing on the newly adopted Kunming to Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which was adopted at the CBD's meeting, the Convention on Biological Diversity's meeting last December, and really sets the aspiration for change to 2030 and to 2050 to conserve nature and to support the future of people as part of nature. If I then just turn to introduce our work on urban activities. So you'll hear today about the Urban Nature Indexes. This is part of the work of the IUCN Urban Initiative, and that sits in the team that I manage within IUCN Center for Society and Governance, which really tries to elevate the place of people in nature conservation. This meeting is also about bringing our work to a focus at regional and also at national levels. And we, in the Global Secretariat of IUCN, really see the future to be strengthening regional delivery. We have strong collaborations at the moment on urban that are focused in Europe, in Central and South America, and in Asia. And so this event is also about strengthening the work that is happening on urban activities across our Asia region. And as we know, urban as a whole is a global challenge, but if we look at Asia in particular, we're moving into an area of unprecedented urbanization rates. According to UN Habitat, 54% of the global urban population, more than 2.2 billion people, live in Asia. And by 2050, the urban population in Asia is expected to grow by an additional 1.2 billion people. So this is a huge issue. We're already working on urban programs in Asia. Some of the work that's already happening in the Asia region includes work on urban climate resilience in Thailand, implementation of nature-based solutions in urban green infrastructure in Bangladesh, support provided to the infrastructure sector in developing policies and good practices on urban biodiversity, and what we call the Clearinghouse project, looking at urban forests in Europe and in China. But really, given the increasing footprint of cities and development, and that cities are the home of so many people, as well as the latest global frameworks on biodiversity, such as the Global Biodiversity Framework, it's really essential that international organizations like IUCN scale up our collaboration with subnational governments to enhance urban biodiversity for the health and the resilience and the well-being of ecosystems and of citizens. And that's why IUCN is building new partnerships and projects to scale up our work in the work that we've been doing in rural ecosystems for 70 years and really include the cities and urban spaces in the future of our program. And the Urban Nature Indexes is a key to that. But really, we have two messages. I think the first is the need to build urban biodiversity, to protect and conserve natural habitats, to implement nature-based solutions, to strengthen the connectivity between green spaces, to green the urban matrix as a whole, and to adopt wildlife-friendly management practices that can enhance urban biodiversity. But as well as building urban biodiversity, we need to reduce ecological footprints of cities given their size and reach. And that means through greening supply chains, enhancing resource use efficiency, promoting sustainable consumption and production, and really municipalities in collaboration with national governments and the private sector are at the heart of this, and it's their action, but also their accountability mechanisms that will really show us if we're achieving a sustainable future for cities. So today is about the Urban Nature Indexes, IUCN's latest knowledge product for municipalities, really to support the agenda I've just tried to summarize, and to help measure and show progress at the local and at the global scale. So I hope you'll enjoy finding out about the Urban Nature Indexes and the chance to interact with the team. And with that, let me wish you a very successful event. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Tim, for the comprehensive overview of what IUCN is doing in the area of urban and nature, and also for great introduction to what we will be hearing further on IUCN Uni. So without further ado, I would like to invite again Loredana, a Program Officer of Urban Heritage and Culture Team at IUCN, which will start a series of presentations. So over to you, Loredana.
Thank you, Satya, and good morning again, everyone. Let me also dive into what IUCN has been doing in urban. So as Tim mentioned, IUCN has been around for 75 years, and for almost 7 decades, IUCN has worked mainly on biodiversity and nature conservation in rural and peri-urban areas. However, in 2016, during the IUCN World Conservation Congress, the Council had requested to incorporate urban conservation into the work of the Union, because it was acknowledged, again, that the majority of the world's population is urban, and therefore urban people are critical for nature conservation. And from that moment, there has been increasing momentum around urban biodiversity, both globally and within IUCN. For instance, in 2021, subnational governments were included in IUCN memberships, and here on the slide, you can see the different resolutions. Then we have the Nature 2030 IUCN program, that guides the work of the Union. And in the program, we have a dedicated target on nature and people thriving in cities while addressing urban challenges. And then finally, in the Marseille Manifesto, we have the bold commitment to expand universal access to high-quality green spaces in 100 cities, representing around 100 million citizens by 2025. And here in this pledge, the Urban Nature Indexes was actually mentioned as a way to assess the impact of this access to universal high-quality green spaces. So overall, the importance of urban biodiversity, again, has increased exponentially and also has requested and required the establishment of dedicated processes and bodies to ensure its mainstreaming within the work of the Union. Just to give you also a more in-depth look at our membership, as mentioned already, we're the world's largest and most diverse environmental network. And in 2021, subnational governments have been invited to join IUCN membership. Cities that are already part of IUCN include, for instance, Paris and the city of Fontainebleau, where IUCN was founded, and others such as Cape Town and Buenos Aires are in the process of joining. So the benefits of being an IUCN member can be encapsulated into these three areas. First of all, in the area that we call inform, Members have access to IUCN data, analysis, guidelines, and standards that allow them to advance their conservation agenda, and they can also directly contribute to this knowledge. It's really a matter of co-creation of knowledge and guidelines so that everyone can implement their strategies to achieve sustainable development and also to advance nature conservation. The Urban Nature Indexes, of course, it's also part of this repository, and members can use IUCN's platforms and datasets to support the application of the indexes. Moving on to the next area that we call influence, the Union actually is a venue where some national governments can discuss local conservation issues with a wide number of stakeholders. As we mentioned, IUCN is unique for the fact that we bring together states, governmental agencies, indigenous people organizations, and NGO all together to advance the conservation agenda. And of course, additionally, members have voting rights and can shape IUCN's agenda in a democratic way. And then finally, we have the section on implement, because IUCN works very closely with its members, and we also offer opportunities to be included in fundraising opportunities and projects. Just to mention one, very recently, IUCN was selected as lead agency of the GEF8 Sustainable City Child Projects in Peru and Guatemala, mobilizing almost $17 million US. For more information, you can always reach out to us or go to our website that it's on this slide. But this is just to give an overview of what it means for us, national government and for cities to be part of our network. Moving forward, I would like to also give a brief overview of the IUCN Urban Alliance, because in 2018, thanks to the financial support of the charitable fund Arcadia, IUCN established the IUCN Urban Alliance. It was envisioned as a coalition of IUCN constituents concerned with urban dimensions of nature conservation. And the Alliance has actually worked very extensively to, first of all, create an exchange knowledge platform on nature conservation of urban ecosystems, also to catalyze new partnerships, and for sure also to develop knowledge products to drive conservation actions in cities, such as the Urban Nature Indexes. The Union, in fact, was the first knowledge product that was developed by the Alliance, and of course, we will present it way more in detail in the next couple of sections. In general, with the new mandate of IUCN for Urban, the Alliance will continue to support cities in biodiversity conservation and sustainable development. And we will also guide IUCN members and other cities that decide to work with us, not only on the application of the Urban Nature Indexes, but also on a wide range of other tools and opportunities, such as how to actually deploy nature-based solutions in urban environments, or also delivering capacity buildings, opportunities and events, and education campaigns for urban biodiversity in cities. The Urban Alliance in general, the work at IUCN Urban, is also developing what we call an IUCN Urban Toolbox, because we would like to give structure to all the IUCN tools and methodologies that can be applied also in urban ecosystems. The Urban Toolbox will guide municipalities throughout their journey in nature positive development from different phases, from the very first phase of assessment, planning, design, implementation, and monitoring of urban conservation strategies. Some of the knowledge products that will be featured in the IUCN Urban Toolbox include, as you see on the slide, the Sports and Urban Biodiversity Framework that was developed with the San Francisco Estuary Institute, the Making Nature City Toolkit, again with SFEI, then obviously also the Urban Nature Indexes, the global standard on nature-based solutions, Panorama Cities Portal, the Urban Protected Areas Guidelines, and many more. So yeah, without further ado, I will actually like to dive into the core component of today's webinar, which is the IUCN Urban Nature Indexes. They were developed by the IUCN Urban Alliance to assess the status of biodiversity in urban ecosystems. And it was developed with the Urban Biodiversity Hub, Hub as we call it, and Jennifer is here today to represent it. And again, it was developed thanks to the financial support of the charitable fund Arcadia. So I would like now to give the floor to our Hub colleagues to give an overview of the framework of the indexes, its design and application. So thanks for listening to me at this moment. And again, thank you, Jennifer, for being part of the webinar. Over to you.
Thanks, Loredana. I am very happy to be presenting today on behalf of the Urban Biodiversity Hub, or UBHub. If you could move to the next slide, please. UBHub was founded in 2016 and is registered as a society in Canada. We have contributors from over 16 countries around the world. At UBHub, we aim to bridge between practice and policy. We research current practices undertaken by local governments to improve their ecological impacts. Then we produce knowledge that informs frameworks and tools for application by governments and NGOs from the local to the global scale. Next slide. UBHub's research is based on a comprehensive database of actions and plans about biodiversity and ecological impacts in urban and local contexts. Based on this data, we can mine from this database, and we've published in academic journals and white papers, we've contributed to global dialogue, and we've collaborated on tools like this one for cities and their partners around the globe. We also offer this database for anyone to search and filter based on document type, population, and many other attributes for free online at www.ubhub.org. At UBHub, we believe in the potential of collaborative and participatory processes that serve local governments, addressing their needs across diverse capacities and contexts. This is why we're particularly proud of our involvement with the development of the Urban Nature Indexes. Next slide. Global agreements to address important challenges through intergovernmental collaboration, such as the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and the Convention on Biological Diversity, are accompanied by metrics that allow for measuring and monitoring the progress of countries towards their goals. They're also increasingly calling for a whole-of-government approach to meeting their targets, which recognizes the significant role that local and subnational governments play in meeting these targets. Even though global agreements recognize how important local actions are to meeting these global targets, global metrics are designed for the national level. Thus, there's a need for a system that can be applied across the wide variety of urban, semi-urban, and rural landscapes around the globe that meets the needs of local governments. The wide variety of conditions at the local level presents a challenge for developing local metrics that have comparative meaning across the various contexts. Differences in ecosystems, density, capacity, primary impacts, economic conditions, political priorities, and more must be accommodated in one framework. With this challenge in mind, the technical expert group of the IUCN Urban Alliance provided initial direction for a common urban biodiversity framework that takes into account local impacts at a global scale. IUCN then hired UBHub as a consultant organization to develop a set of indexes in coordination with the IUCN Urban Alliance. The design of the indexes, next slide please, was made possible thanks to the collaboration between the IUCN team, including staff from both the Secretariat and the Commission on Ecosystem Management, and with UBHub in a consulting capacity. Some of the core team members from each organization are highlighted here. Next slide. Within the IUCN Urban Alliance, the technical expert group established baseline guidance for the development of a new knowledge product that builds on and integrates existing related frameworks and metrics. The IUCN Urban Alliance then contracted with UBHub to design a tool that would meet the guidelines provided by the technical expert group and incorporate feedback from practitioners. Our team then reviewed academic literature and the latest metrics on ecological impacts of cities. Based on this, we selected baseline theoretical frameworks for the indexes, then compiled an initial set of indicator topics and metrics. We refined this initial set of indexes based on criteria, such as scientific credibility and feasibility, feedback from scientific advisors, a survey of 24 local government practitioners, some of whom are on the call today, and detailed participation from 6 cities representing urban areas of various sizes and global regions, as indicated on the map. Next slide. IUCN's support for this new tool was institutionalized through the Marseille Manifesto, which was adopted by IUCN Council in September of 2021. This included a commitment to implement the tool across the globe by 2025. Next slide. The UNI framework was peer-reviewed and released in April of 2023. Next slide. The Urban Nature Indexes stands out among pre-existing indices for their combination of these 5 characteristics. A flexible design that provides for different city capacities and local contexts. Comprehensive themes that focus on biodiversity conservation outcomes at local, regional, and global scales, and account for socio-ecological interrelationships. A science-based development and indicator selection that's particular to urban contexts. Improvement-oriented scoring that captures trends over time rather than one single target. And a collaborative approach that leverages existing tools and standards whenever possible. Next slide. To ensure that the Urban Nature Indexes comprehensively captures urban impacts at all scales and addresses the underlying drivers of ecological impacts, it's based on 2 frameworks. First, the Urban Bioshed Impact Areas Model, shown on the left side of the slide. And second, the Driver Pressure State Impact Response, or DPSIR model, shown on the right. The Urban Bioshed Impact Areas model helps conceptualize the wide and varied impacts by scale and by sector that cities have on ecosystems, whether harmful or protective, with at the center the notion of equity and justice. The DPSIR model is used to convey complex environmental issues. It considers the component parts of a system and how they relate to and interact with one another and other systems. It's commonly used in environmental management contexts to demonstrate cause and effect relationships. Next slide. Based on these 2 frameworks, the UNI is structured around 6 themes. These are aligned in their titles with the DPSIR model described previously. They are Theme 1, Consumption Drivers, Theme 2, Human Pressures, Theme 3, Habitat Status, Theme 4, Species Status, Theme 5, Nature's Contributions to People, which is also known as Ecosystem Services, and Theme 6, Governance Responses. Through these 6 themes, the UNI seeks to comprehensively cover the ecological impacts of cities, including underlying drivers and connections to equity and climate change. Next slide. Within each theme, you'll find 5 indicator topics to choose from. In each of these topics, there will be suggested approaches that cities can use to measure this topic. These range from basic to advanced, and they include alternatives, such as applying metrics that a city has already completed. Examples might include targets from the Singapore Index, for example. Each indicator topic has a baseline value, and it's evaluated based on the trend of the data. The resulting score for selected indicator topics begin with data deficient before data is entered, then moves to baseline measured once values have been received. From there, subsequent data establishes a trend that's evaluated ranging from undesirable to desirable, as shown in the example values. So this is how each of the themes are set up in their structure. Next slide. Now we can look at the indicator topics themselves within each theme. Here you can see a list of the topics. Every participating city will choose between 1 and 5 topics in each of the 6 themes. Within the themes, the contents to be found are as follows. In consumption drivers, these are items that result from the use of resources, such as food and energy. Human pressures refer to human-induced disturbances and degradation, such as noise, light, and water pollution and invasive species. Habitat status assesses the level of protection, restoration, and connectivity of habitats at the city level. Species status assesses the level of species diversity and extinction risk. Nature's contributions to people assesses ecosystem services that concern, for instance, human health, employment, or culture. And finally, governance responses helps us understand how legal frameworks and local governments ensure urban biodiversity conservation. From within this list of indicator topics, cities select indicators within each theme to use for their city. They're not expected to measure all the indicators listed. Instead, the city selects those topics that make sense for them, given their local context. As an example, a city with a particular interest in resilience might choose indicator topics related to this subject, such as water withdrawal in Theme 1, sprawl in Theme 2, vegetation cover in Theme 3, functional diversity under Theme 4, and human health in Theme 5, etc. In this way, cities can adopt the tool to meet their needs across themes of sustainability, bearing in mind that this tool is designed to measure ecological impacts overall. Next slide, please. Now we see a table that shows more detail about each of the indicators for the first 3 themes, including an indication of those with equity impacts, the scale of influence at which these indicators operate, and their potential to contribute towards major global frameworks such as the SDGs and the Global Biodiversity Framework. Collectively, the indicator topics under all 6 themes are relevant to each of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as each of the targets of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Cities may use the indicator topics of the present indexes to report their performance against the SDGs and the Global Biodiversity Framework as part of their public annual report and national monitoring efforts. Next slide, please. Here you can see the same information for the next 3 thematic areas. Note that here there are a higher proportion of topics contributing to equity in these last 3 themes. This table is available in the publication that was shared along with the invitations to this webinar and is retrievable on the IUCN library system. Next slide, please. Now we'll take a look at an example of the type of information provided in an indicator topic as described in the UNI publication. As you can see here, each indicator topic includes its intent and the specific monitoring unit that guides the calculation of the indicator topic. Then the instructions provide a detailed guideline on how to calculate the indicator and the alternative methodologies that can be used in case technical resources or capacities prevent a city from following the baseline instructions. Cities are also welcome to suggest similar methodologies that also contribute to the intent of this indicator topic. The list of resources can also be helpful. It recommends websites, papers, and citizen science platforms that can contribute to the calculation of the particular indicator topic. Next slide. Now we can see an example of how these sections might look. This example is for Theme 3, Habitat Status, under the indicator topic Ecosystem Restoration. But each indicator topic can vary in its content, and its additional resources and alternatives will be added over time according to suggestions from users. Next slide. On this slide, we can see 2 examples of indicator topics under the theme related to nature's contributions to people. These are exposure to nature and access to nature. They sound similar, these 2 topics, but they differ in that exposure to nature measures the number of visitors to vegetated and natural open areas, while access to nature has a stronger equity component. It measures the access to natural spaces for vulnerable urban communities in particular. Next slide. Finally, in this last example, we see under the indicator topic of management, Here, community co-management and Indigenous stewardship are encouraged as indicators to measure. Next slide. As far as the application of the urban nature indexes, we advise that a city would apply the UNI every 1 to 5 years, depending on the needs and resources of the local government. Before starting each new application, the first thing an applicant would do is fill out a short capacity assessment questionnaire. Depending on the score of this questionnaire, the city can then select indicator topics to complete and their level of calculation, either basic or advanced. Next slide. Here we see an example of some questions included in the capacity assessment questionnaire. This is a short questionnaire that determines the status of the city in terms of how many indicators they would need to fulfill. The questions are basic and are meant to be simple to complete within a few minutes, generating a capacity score. Next slide. Here's a brief picture of how the recommendation of the number of indicator topics to calculate is made. Note that the number of indicator topics to select based on the questionnaire is just a suggestion. The flexibility of the UNI allows for the selection of the number of indicator topics based on a city's actual needs. If, for instance, a city gets a higher score, it's still possible to calculate a lower number of indicator topics, depending on their needs. Similarly, if the score is lower, but the municipality is willing to apply additional indicator topics, this is still possible. The criteria a city uses to select the indicator topics depends on its municipal priorities and programs, their areas of interest, or available time and resources. Thanks for your time. I'll now give the floor back to Laura Donna with the IUCN Urban Alliance to discuss institutional support and the online platform for the UNI. Thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. I would like now to focus on what IUCN is offering to cities that are applying the urban nature indexes. So spanning from the institutional communication of urban impacts on nature to the monitoring of ecological performances, IUCN provides additional support to ensure the correct implementation of the urban nature indexes and maximize its positive benefits in the municipal territory. The web portal, which is currently available in English but will also be soon launched in French and Spanish, is also a platform where cities can share information on direct benefits and also influence policy. The platform is designed to be as interactive as possible in order for municipalities to keep track of data, receive implementation guidance, and also share results. And a summary report with trends and scoring is automatically generated, helping cities also to communicate their trends and their efforts in urban biodiversity. Then IUCN also ensures that the adherence of submitted data to the guidelines of the urban nature indexes, because once results are uploaded and cleared, IUCN provides targeted recommendations to cities to better design and identify priority areas to address the identified challenges. So the application of each indicator topics actually helps mapping areas and challenges in need of tailored biodiversity conservation measures. And finally, cities that apply the UNI will be involved in knowledge sharing events and initiatives in the framework of webinars, as we will see, as we actually saw in this series. We invited also cities that have applied the UNI. Then in the future, when we will have in-person workshops and conference, municipalities will be invited not only in events where we discuss the urban nature indexes, but also in other types of workshops and conferences related to urban nature-based solutions and in general urban biodiversity. However, it's important to mention now that IUCN won't be able to provide any financial resources to apply the urban nature indexes. We also won't be able to guarantee quality assurance of the accuracy of reported data, because we really want the urban nature indexes to be an assessment led by the municipality. However, on a case-by-case basis, we can also be involved in joint fundraising and project opportunities that include the application of the urban nature indexes in project activities. And this has also already started in different IUCN projects, where we also try to mainstream the application of the urban nature indexes in parallel with other IUCN tools, such as the global standard for nature-based solutions. And how do cities benefit from applying the urban nature indexes? First of all, the urban nature indexes are a useful tool to help both citizens and policymakers understand the impact that they have not only on nature at a city level, but also on more distant ecosystems. The urban nature indexes also help set science-based targets for improvement and also monitor progress accordingly. The upload of data on the web platform also enhances environmental transparency and accountability. And finally, the urban nature indexes are also a good opportunity to catalyze local actions for nature in all cities. During the design phase of the urban nature indexes, cities that were surveyed expressed the need to have an interactive platform with trends and scores generated automatically in order also to better monitor their progress and communicate effectively their results. Therefore, the UNI web platform was developed, again, in collaboration with Urban Biodiversity Hub. The UNEP World Conservation Monitoring Center acted as platform developer. And of course, also we had the financial support of the charitable fund Arcadia. I will now stop sharing my screen so that I can present you more interactively how to register to the platform and also how to upload data. So if you just give me a second, I will connect to the UNI web platform so that I can show you how to register. Okay. I trust that you can see my screen now. So this is the how to set up an account in the Urban Nature Indexes web platform. First of all, you are requested a very basic level of information, starting from first name, last name. Then you're also asked to select a city. You can either choose from the list that we have here, or you can also add your own. We also request a job title, and it's important to mention here that at this moment, only city representatives can register to the platform. That's because scores for each city can also be edited over time and can be modified if need be, and therefore we really want just municipalities to be the one in charge of submitting data. However, if there's any organization such as an NGO or an education institution or even a university that would like to support cities in applying the urban nature indexes, that is of course possible. During the registration process, IUCN will be in charge of either accepting the registration, rejecting it in case it's just a normal user, or also requesting proof of affiliation to a city. And therefore, if your organization, your NGO or university has been appointed by a municipality or is working with a municipality to apply the urban nature indexes, please show proof of affiliation. It can be also just an email, or be in touch with the IUCN so that we know that you are the one that are going to upload data. However, any user can actually visualize the results for each city the moment in which they're published on the website. So we're not distinguishing between registered and non-registered users in terms of communication of results. We're only requesting city representatives to be the ones uploading the data and starting assessment. Once you register, you will then go to your dashboard. And here we already started a couple of assessments just to show you how that looks like. First of all, as Jennifer mentioned, the application of the urban nature indexes starts with a capacity assessment. And in here, as you can see, it's a very simple list of multiple choice questions. It's overall 7, as Jennifer mentioned. And again, the results are just a suggestion. So cities can also decide the number and also the selection of indicator topics depending on their resources and their needs. Once you submit your capacity assessment, you will receive then this advice. In this case, we have a mega capacity, and therefore it means that we need to select at least 4 indicator topics per theme. Once we have this suggestion, we then start with the application of the indexes with a new entry. Here we already started. For instance, we can go to 2017, and you have to press on the pencil to start the application. Then you will have an overview of all the themes in here. For instance, you can go to theme 3 and each indicator topics. In order to start applying and uploading data, you just have to click on the plus. You have then to select the methodology to calculate the indicator. You can select either the recommended methodology or 2 alternatives. In here, for instance, let's go with the volume of solid waste. And then you also have to indicate the value that you obtain in your calculation. You can insert the title of what you're calculating, the value, the units, and the year that it's referring to. In case you will have to monitor over time different values referring to the same indicator topic. For instance, in here we have solid waste. In case you want to monitor over time the difference between plastic, organic, or I don't know, paper, you can add rows. And in here, you can insert more values in case your data is not aggregated. It's important, though, that in other years, when you keep uploading data and you keep assessing your data, it's important to be consistent, because the charts that are automatically generated also come from what you insert here. So over time, you will need to maintain the same text, the same title, and also the same units. And of course, year and value will change. Then if we scroll down, we have also a small textual section where you can explain what the baseline value shows. Then you can also specify which different data sources were used to calculate. You can also link the data sets that were used for calculation. And again, here you can also add rows in case there are multiple. An important section is also confidence estimation. The confidence depends in here, as you see, on spatial resolution, temporal characteristics, and also sampling and representativeness of the data set used. There's also a small section on this in the IUCN publication, but it's a very easy calculation. It's either low, moderate, or high. Then you can explain the limitations that you found during the calculation process so that we can understand also in the future how to better design future monitoring and trends of the indexes. And then in the end, you can upload supporting documents. As of now, the platform does not support GIS or any georeference data sources, but you can definitely upload maps. I think PNG and JPEGs are still uploadable on the platform. Once you have submitted your data, let me go back to your dashboard, then your assessment appears as published. If you click on this small eye, you can have an overview of what has been submitted for each theme and each indicator topic. In case you need to edit your data, you can do so. And you can go to the theme and indicator topic that you would like to amend. Once you want to, of course, see what has been done, you can either go to the section that is called cities. For instance, here, let's take Berlin as an example. You can view the trends. These are dummy data, so please don't take them as real data. But as you can see, charts are automatically generated. I think this is also a nice example to show. And again, it needs to be consistent over time. If you have different years that are uploaded, please be mindful of the unit and the title that you give to each indicator topic. And in general, you can always download the page of each indicator topic. Right now, it shows as a PNG file. We are working also on having a overall chart and overall summary chart of each assessment of the urban nature indexes so that cities can actually have a nice overview of their ecological footprint and also see which indicator topics are being calculated and which ones were not taken into consideration. So this was just a very brief overview. And now I would like to, again, if you have any questions, please drop them in the Q&A box or in the chat. But now I would like to go back to our presentation because I would like to continuing by presenting the experiences of other cities applying the indexes. Right now, different cities are either supporting either applying the urban nature indexes or have finalized its assessment. The city of Berlin in Germany, and I think there might be some representative from the municipality in the audience. So please feel free to drop a comment or participate during the Q&A session. But the city of Berlin, it's the first one that completed the whole evaluation of the urban nature indexes. Other cities that are currently applying the indexes are Mexico City and Guatemala City. And in previous sessions of this webinar, we had representatives presenting their experience in applying the urban nature indexes. And today I would like to focus on the city of Berlin. Thanks also to the support of our colleagues that works at the Brussels office, namely Susanna and Maria, who also were in touch with the municipality of Berlin throughout the application of the indexes. So the application of the UNI in Berlin to date is the most comprehensive one that we have received. Out of all the 30 indicator topics, the municipality has applied 27 of them, except for the shorelines and riverbanks, connectivity, and microbiota and fungi. Regarding the level of efforts, it's important to mention that in the case of Berlin, data were available for almost all indicator topics, even though some data sets were not exhaustive or not publicly available. The main challenge that was encountered by the municipality was the collection and collation of data, and then the calculation of the indexes. One of the remarks provided concerns the significant level of effort and permanent capacities required to keep the data sets updated and then report them to the indexes. And then to give an approximate estimate of time, the municipality of Berlin completed the assessment between December 2022 and April 2023, of course, not on a full-time basis. This timeframe was established in consultation with IUCN and was based on local capacities and resources, because this timeframe will obviously change from municipality to municipality. So therefore, when you start the application of the urban nature indexes or you're in touch with IUCN, please bear in mind that we don't have a fixed deadline to complete the application of the UNI. Of course, it's recommended to apply it every 1 to 3 years, but the timeline for application greatly depends on local capacities and resources, and that again is linked to the capacity assessment questionnaire. Finally, some reflections on Berlin concern the fact that the municipality had attempted the application of different frameworks to assess local biodiversity. Some tools that were assessed were the Living Planet Index, the Singapore Index, and also they attempted to build on the previous two, a Berlin City Biodiversity Index. And that, given its flexibility in themes, the UNI was considered the most comprehensive tool. Again, if anyone has any question on the practical application of the UNI, please feel free to comment on the chat or the Q&A section. So the work that was carried out with the municipalities has been quite interesting, because we had the opportunity to identify common issues of methodologies and potential opportunities. The main takeaways regard the need for collaboration between municipal departments, because this is a challenge that many municipalities face on a daily basis, and the UNI can actually be a good opportunity to strengthen in the interdepartmental dialogue. Political buy-in is also fundamental to ensure ownership of the process, and also the exercise can benefit of other programs, departments, and initiatives, thanks to the collection and update of data. Something that we want to emphasize is that also we would like to avoid the duplication of efforts. So we are aware of the lack of resources and capacities that many municipalities might have. And therefore, indicator topics selected should be those that are already included in municipality strategies, or that the municipality would like to have support on to broaden its data sets. So therefore, again, it's a municipality-led process, and you are the ones deciding which indicator topics are most beneficial for your local context. A wealth of data is available in other databases, studies, and organizations. So sometimes there might be the case in which the municipality does not have to necessarily collect the data because it's already included in other database. Citizen science also plays a big role in the urban nature indexes. The handbook, the publication that is available on the IUCN library system, contains several references to opportunities for citizen science. And we encourage their use because that way we can strengthen really the role and involvement of citizens, as well as filling gaps in knowledge. And the flexibility is also a key feature of the urban nature indexes, because given political elections and turnover that might affect the performance and capacity of municipalities, this feature needs to be a core component of the methodology to guarantee that it can serve the needs of municipalities, regardless who's in charge in that moment, and also so that it can have benefits and for the citizens and local ecosystems in the long term. So that was the end of the presentation. I'm heading over to you again, Satya. Thanks you very much.
Great. Many thanks, Loredana and Jennifer, for very insightful presentation. So you explained sort of like how the uni was developed, what it contains, how IUCN can help municipalities all over the world in applying uni for various purposes. And of course, it can be flexible depending on the needs of the cities and how to use the web platform. And also very nicely, you ended your presentation with examples how cities have actually used that. So now we are going to the question and answer session. Now I start seeing some questions here. So and then I'll read it out, and then I know Jennifer has answered it, but I would invite Jennifer to maybe elaborate further verbally, sort of like the answer. So the question that was asked anonymously is, can the municipality use 2 to 3 index from one theme, such as theme 3, and use one index from other theme? So sort of like pick and choose. So Jennifer, I would like to invite you to answer verbally also on this one.
Yes, thanks for the question. The answer is yes. You can complete a larger number of indicator topics under one theme and a smaller number under another theme. If there are multiple in a particular theme that your city would like to complete. But we do ask that any participating city select at least one indicator topic under each of the 6 themes, meaning that you would be completing at least 6 indicators in total. This will give you a score for each of the 6 themes. In the event that you complete multiple indicators within one theme, these indicators are then combined into your index score for that particular theme. So all participating cities have 6 thematic scores at the end of the day.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. I hope that's clear to whoever asked the question. There's a second question, and this is related to the fact that, in different countries, each municipality or cities are divided sort of like differently. It has different governance structure. So the question is, in Thailand, we have many administrative boundary in city area, municipality, sub-district administrative organization. Do we need to separate them in one city? So I assume it's because there are different cities areas. There are also suburbs, with different sort of governance structures. Sort of how do you how do you define sort of the boundary? I guess that's the question. And I guess, Loredana, maybe you can take this one.
Sure. Thank you for the question. We are aware there are different situations. There are different municipal boundaries and different situations in various cities. We have one example of one metropolitan city that approached us and asked us what's, like what are the boundaries of each municipality, and also how to upload data if that needs to be only on regarding to one specific municipality, or also metropolitan areas can upload different ones and like aggregate them all in one assessment. And the answer is it depends on the capacity of the municipalities, I would guess, because for instance, in that case, metropolitan areas can also perform assessments. Of course, it's more complex because they have to bring together different subcategories of data, and specifically for larger cities, they will have to bring together probably dozens of other data sets and results from municipalities and districts. But of course, it depends on what the municipality wants and needs. In case of, for instance, a big city that has different districts and municipalities within, and they would like to have a sort of overall picture of the performance of that area, they can also obviously do so if it's in collaboration with the support of districts and municipalities, and they can have a broader picture of the ecological performance of the area. So it really depends on, first of all, what are the municipal boundaries that we're referring to, and second, if you want to have an overlook on the performance of a specific district, a specific, let's say municipality, sorry, not district, for a specific municipality or for a metropolitan area at large. It's always a matter of resources and needs, and also a matter of how you then aggregate the data coming from different municipalities in a metropolitan area. I don't know if Jennifer wants to add anything on this, but I think I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, Jennifer, you want to add anything? All right, no. All right, so now we have another question. This is from Adeniran Akani. So the question is it compulsory to apply methodology from the uni? So the one that is sort of like recommended as part of the document, the toolbox, or you can go outside the methodology. So the same applies to data set. For instance, for vegetation cover, I'm not sure if I3 has also the data set for all cities. So whether someone can look into other data set, but of course, bearing in mind standardization as well. So Jennifer, maybe this is a question that you can answer.
Thank you. And I want to also thank Mr. Adeniran Akani for his participation in our workshops and as one of the members helping develop the Urban Nature Indexes. As far as the question, this is a very good question, because one of the strengths of the Urban Nature Indexes is that even though we do provide an example methodology for each of the indicator topics, and in some cases there's more than one example methodology, a city can always suggest an alternate methodology that works better for them. And they can submit this alternative methodology through the website. So there is a standard method of submitting your suggested method, and this can then be reviewed by the IUCN team and accepted as part of the index itself. So what can happen is, if you have your own data set and approach, say in the example to vegetation cover measurement, you can explain this approach and show how it meets the intent of the given indicator topic. And if this approach might also be useful for other cities, there's the potential to have it incorporated into the alternatives section of the website as the Urban Nature Indexes is developed further. So it's meant to be flexible and also adaptable, so that over time, there will be multiple methods that can be used to gain a score in the Urban Nature Indexes system. So I hope that's clear.
Yeah, I think that's very clear. I haven't seen any other question yet, but maybe this is an opportunity for everyone to, and now we can open it up for a bit of discussion. If you have any question or comments that you'd like to say it like verbally, you can raise your hand, using the raise hand function, and we would like to invite you to share your comments or feedback, if any. I know like here we have a lot of participants also from China, in addition to Thailand. I know like, and we do have an interpreter as well. So yeah, if any of you have questions, please feel free to raise your hand. And maybe while still waiting for questions, I just wanted to mention that this is recorded. So I know that there have been a lot of really nice information shared by panelists during the webinar. So we'd be sure to share the recorded webinar to you. So if you register, so you can have access to the recording, and you can also share it with your colleagues or maybe any municipalities who are not joining today, but might be interested in utilizing UNI. Anyone want to ask something verbally? Oh, okay, there's a new question. Let me just read that directly. So, will IUCN staff review the data and assist in improving the assessment results of Urban Biodiversity Index after completing all data filling? So yeah, I guess this is a question for Loredana. So go ahead, Loredana.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. Yes, we, as mentioned, we won't provide any data accuracy evaluation because also the data that are published are going to be visible to citizens and everyone. But we do assess the adherence of the calculation to the IUCN Urban Nature Indexes publication and handbook. So we will definitely assess if the calculation is correct, or anyways, if it meets the intent of each indicator topic. And in that sense, we also provide tailored recommendations on how to improve either future calculations or how to improve the ecological performance of some cities. Of course, the feedback will be, let's say, tailored according to the data sets that are provided. So we just trust the fact that the data are going to be from reliable sources and data sets. And we also, of course, provide comments on potential new data sets that can be applied and then can be consulted. We also provide some sort of guidance on how to improve also the assessment in future years. So yeah, in long story short, the answer to this question is yes, we do provide some sort of support. Of course, please bear in mind that given the amount of cities and municipalities that apply the indexes, we won't be able to support throughout each step of the application, but of course we're always there to answer to any doubts or any issues that you might encounter, both on the calculation of the indicator topics and the use of the web platform. I hope that answered the question.
Great, thanks a lot, Loredana. Any further question from anyone, either in writing or verbally? I haven't seen anything yet. So maybe, I don't know, from the Thai cities or from the one of the Chinese cities, if you have any question, I mean, this is your chance. Of course, I mean, you'll be able to get in touch with Jennifer, with Loredana as well. I know Jennifer has put her email address, and this is like from IUCN Urban team. But now we have another question. So this is the question: if the city want to have an index in shoreline and riverbanks, but they didn't have the baseline data, do you have any methodology for the baseline measurement? So this is related to shoreline and riverbanks. So yeah, I don't know, Loredana or Jennifer, go ahead.
Thanks. I can provide an answer for this one. So thank you for your question. Some of the indicator topics in the urban nature indexes follow relatively standard methods, but some of them are representative of new ways of thinking about cities' impact on certain parts of nature. And the example that you selected here, the shoreline and riverbanks indicator, is an example of a newer topic that the Urban Nature Indexes covers in a unique way. So because of that, we do provide quite a bit of detail on our recommendation for how this data would be measured. And in this case, it's based on the length of area that is restored along the shoreline, either the marine shoreline along the ocean or the riparian shoreline along the river. And these areas are then added up and divided over the total shoreline area that you have within your boundary. So there's additional information within the guidebook that tells you how this could be calculated, but similar to Mr. Akani's question, if you have data that's easier for you to measure or that makes more sense in your context, you can always suggest an alternative. But in the meantime, yes, there is guidance in the online platform and on the PDF guidebook.
Great, thank you so much. I see a question in Chinese, in Mandarin. So maybe if I would kindly request my colleague from IUCN China office to translate for us. I mean, you can do so verbally. You know, if you can tell us
Yes.
the panelists, especially the question in English, that would be great. That can be answered.
Yes. Hi, Sergio, can you hear me?
So maybe
Hi, can you hear me?
someone else
Yes.
from IUCN China, you can open your mic and translate the question.
Yes, can you hear me? Hi, Sergio.
Yuyun, I can hear you. I don't know if any other participants can. I don't know if Satri can. No?
I cannot. Yeah. So I don't know if you can go to the English channel just for the benefit of the rest.
Okay. So I'm in the English channel. Can you hear me?
I can. Yuyun, maybe you can just tell me
Yeah.
the question. Yeah, and I'll report
Yes.
it back.
The question is about, because we have different indicators in different
Great.
dimension, and will these indicators be graded, and will it become a general grade for any city? And how do you add different indicators into one grade?
Okay, thank you for the question. Can the rest of participants hear me? Satri, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay,
you. Yeah.
perfect. Sorry, I listened to the question, and it's also a question that I think perhaps also Jennifer, that was involved from the very beginning, can answer to. The question is whether the scores for each indicator topics will be summed into one specific index, and in that case, how will that happen?
Go ahead, Jennifer.
Sure. So if you'll remember in the slide where we described the types of scores that are provided for each of the indicator topics, these scores on the platform have a numerical value. So when the scores are provided, so you have a baseline and then you have a subsequent score. So you have a trend over time, then you'll receive a score for one given indicator topic. Within a theme, if you've selected more than one indicator topic to complete, then that score would be averaged between those two indicators to provide you with a score at the thematic level. In the end, you would have one score for each of the 6 themes that represents all of the indicators that are fulfilled at that theme. You can also see your score for each indicator topic by going into more detail on the platform. So there's data available at both the thematic level for each index, thus the Urban Nature Indexes, and at the indicator topic level in more detail for the specific topics that you've selected.
Great, and that's very clear. Thank you so much, Jennifer, and thanks, Laura, for relaying to us the rest of us the question. So yeah, any maybe last question before we wrap up? I haven't seen anything here, but I guess from my side as moderator, I'd like to thank everyone, of course, to all the panelists, for sharing, insights on how uni can be utilized, and hopefully there will be a lot of interest from this side of the world, from Asia. And as Tim mentioned at the beginning, of course, in Asia, I mean, there's a lot of urbanization, but there's also a lot of interest from cities and municipalities in Asia to ensure that urban nature becomes a priority. And so I guess on behalf of IUCN and the Urban Alliance team, we certainly would like to see how we can best, how we can further support cities and municipalities in the region in their journey towards achieving sustainable development goals. So just as a reminder, you can reach out to Jennifer, you can reach out to Loredana. You see on the screen the contact of Loredana, and then also Jennifer has put her email address in the chat box. So yeah, I'd like to thank again everyone, to all the participants for being here and for being an active audience. So I'll close. Yeah, I'll close the. Sorry, I'm just trying to see if there is any. There is one question here. Sorry. So, okay. Actually, there are two more questions. So sorry about that. Let me just read them before we close this. So two questions. I see the scoring criteria for each sub-indicator. Will uni finally aggregate these into a composite score? How is it aggregated? So this is, I think, linked to the question that was answered by Jennifer before, but maybe can be elaborated further. And then the very final question is IUCN planning to create a platform or portal where such questions would be posted or updated as FAQs, or go to queries to assist in data collection and evaluation of uni? So a platform or portal where questions would be posted. So yeah, maybe from Loredana first, and then Jennifer.
Sure, thanks for the question. Just to respond to this last one regarding the portal, we, as I showed, there's already a IUCN Urban Nature Indexes web portal, and there is a section on frequently asked questions. So we will upload that and update the information that has been asked and also has been shared through these webinars over there. We will also share the recording of these webinars, and we will try to upload them also on the web platform so that people can also benefit from these Q&A sessions that we had with participants. But yeah, definitely we will update the Q&A section on the UNI web platform over time. So and also, perhaps depending on the feedback of municipalities in the future, we can also release a sort of guidance documents to apply the uni. But as of today, as of now, we're just envisioning to update the Q&A section of the web platform. Thanks.
Great, thanks. Maybe Jennifer, over to you on the question on composite scoring aggregation. I think you're still muted, Jennifer. I'm not sure if I think you're frozen. Oh, I think there's a. Okay. Maybe while waiting for Jennifer, I don't know, Loredana, if you want to help answer the question on composite scoring. Yeah.
Yes, sure. I think the question has been covered already partly by Jennifer earlier, but something that I can add to that is that as I mentioned, we're also working on having a summary chart that can present the overall application of the urban nature indexes from each city. So even though it's not just one index that is going to be deployed at the very end of the assessment, there will still be a way to have an overall overview of the performance of cities thanks to this summary charts that will be available soon. So even though we are scoring each indicator topics and not the overall urban nature index per se, otherwise it would have been called index and not indexes, we are working on deploying these summary charts so that there's anyways a way to see an overall scoring or overall performance overview.
All right, that's very clear. All right, I don't see anything else right now, so I guess maybe this is time to adjourn. So yeah, again, I would like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank Tim, Loredana, Jennifer, Laura for all your help or all your explanation. I think you've shared with us sort of like the utility of uni, and we do hope that it will gain traction in this part of the world, in Asia and Oceania. And to all the participants, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to contact them. Thank you again for being here, for being an active audience. So have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Satrio, and thank you also for our colleagues in Beijing for translating the webinar. Thank you, everyone.